here.
Well, we are live right here on the Andrew Burnett Show, and man, I am excited about tonight. I have Troy Miller here with me, the president of National Religious Broadcasters. Troy, welcome to the program.
Andrew, thanks for having me this evening. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. First of all, I have the utmost more respect for you for the great things that you're doing for Christian broadcasters all around the world. Thank you so much for what you do.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm just part of a team here, and it's just Christian broadcasting is important. So we're working hard to make sure it stays that way.
Well, tell us a little bit about how National Religious Broadcasters actually came about.
Sure, we're 78 years old. We came about back in 1944. Similar circumstances. Radio was a brand new thing. Some independent pastors decided they were going to use radio to broadcast the gospel, so they got on there. Another group decided, no, we need to decide who is and who isn't on the radio, and so a group of those pastors got together and said, no, that's not right. So they got together at Moody Church in Chicago and formed the National Association of Broadcasters to protect the rights of those radio folks to be on radio if they wanted to be. Nobody else needed to be the gatekeeper. And so for the last 78 years, we've gone from radio to television, of course, now to podcasting and to bloggers and authors and just the whole gamut of Christian communicators. And NRB is about protecting that access.
So, how do you feel that internet broadcasting has made an impact on broadcasting in general today?
Well, it's an impact. Of course, it's made a great additive impact in the fact that it allows broadcasters to reach more people than just their signal strength, so the regular terrestrial area. So a lot of broadcasters or just Christian communicators, people that are producing radio programs or television programs or podcasts like yours, can reach globally now around the world. So it's really helped get the gospel out there. We see it as a really positive tool.
So, you just had your convention in Nashville, Tennessee. Am I correct? At
That's
the
correct.
at the Gaylord Resort. Tell us a little bit about just some of the events that took place there.
Yeah, so a number of things took place there. So we kicked off on Monday, the 8th, with some pre-events that started on Monday and Tuesday. We had a digital conference that preceded us, and these are folks that work in mostly the digital space. And so they had folks from church media all the way to folks that are just doing podcasting or just digital only platforms. We had a Spark conference that started off at the beginning as well, and that was just focused on podcasters. That's our second year working with the folks over at Spark and that conference. And we hit our conference started on Tuesday. We start off in the morning. We have a lot of business things to do as the association. Then we have what we call the Great Commission Summit. That's a group of international broadcasters and communicators that come in and talk about what's going on around the globe with broadcasting and communication. We move in from that to our opening session. Then throughout the week, we have all of these sessions going on, forums and our big exhibit floor and talks and workshops and just a number of things. And we finish up on Friday night with our big gala and close out with our award ceremony.
You've had many great people there. Sadie Robertson was there this year. Man, I wish I would have been there. She's one I've always wanted to meet. And then my buddy's Chosen Road was there as well.
Oh, they were awesome. They were incredible at our worship on Wednesday night. Chosen Road came out and played, and they really brought the house down. Of course, this is Nashville, so this is country music, bluegrass territory, and they were just incredible.
So, Sadie Robertson, she led a discussion there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. She led a discussion of how to reach the younger generation. How do you reach, especially non-Christians in the younger generation? You know, people are a lot more skeptical today about what goes on in Christianity. And because there's so much disinformation, that's the bad side of the internet, is there's so much disinformation out there. So Sadie was just trying to help folks to figure out, how do we reach her generation? How do we reach that generation and more generations?
Wow. So if you had to pick a memorable experience from this year, what would be one that sticks out the most to you?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. I think our entire exhibit floor was a memorable experience. The exhibit floor was packed. We didn't have a single space left on the floor. It was busy. It was hopping. It was kind of the place to be during the day. It was a lot of buzz going on down there. A lot of people talking about things. We had a number of affiliate events that were really fun. NRB has kind of a two-facet thing. One, people come and they can do business and stuff, but it's also about networking. I think the best things for me was when I walk around and see people in the hallways that are talking to each other, and they get in a circle. They're praying for one another. They're praying for ministries. All of that's the highlight for me.
I just had my good friend Ted Semper of His Air on my program. He comes to NRB.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he does. He's come for a long time, I think, as well. We had over 3,400 people there. It's one of our largest conventions in probably the last 7 years or so. And so it was just great. There was a real spirit there too, just a real spirit of people in unity, of feeling like we're all here for the gospel.
And I think the spirit of unity is more now than ever, because in 2020 we went through the COVID and the quarantine, and we couldn't get out and fellowship with everybody like we wanted to. And I think it made us realize that we need the unity that as the body of Christ.
I think that's part of it. I think there was a lot of, sort of, you call it pent up demand to get together. But NRB hasn't missed a convention through all of COVID. We had the 2020 convention, and then COVID hit a week later with the quote unquote, the 2 weeks to flatten the curve, longest 2 weeks we've ever lived through. Then we were able to get our 21 convention in Dallas. Right between the two peaks of the two different variants, the Delta and such. And then, of course, we came on the end of this last Omicron variant with it finishing. So we did that. I think another thing, Andrew, that the reason there's a spirit of unity here is the church is so much under attack today.
It is definitely
that people are really finding that they're being driven together. We're better together than we are apart. We have differences. We have differences in denominations, sometimes differences in beliefs, but we also talk a lot about, we have differences in what ministries people are called for. And there's a lot more respect, I think, today, understanding people are called to different ministry to reach different things and to do different parts of God's plan. And that's all good.
So I hear you never know who's going to show up to an NRB meeting in the Christian industry. So who would be a memorable guest for you that you'll never forget?
Boy, we had so many good people this year and folks, but Lauren Green from Fox News, I have to tell you, she was kind of a last minute show up and came in and she just did a fabulous job in our opening session. And then she spent the whole week with us, and she just, I tell you, she's the real deal. She's a solid Christian. She loves Jesus. She loves the church. And it was just so nice to know that somebody like that's in mainstream news. She was there. We had a number of other just folks that show up, but Lauren probably left the biggest impression on me this year. In Dallas, it was our good friends from the Unashamed podcast, our folks from why am I drawing a whole blank here? The Duck Robertsons, Duck Dynasty, the Robertsons, and they're just great too.
That's one guest that I hope to eventually be able to get on this podcast, because man, they are very outspoken about Christianity, and I think more of us should and need that boldness.
Yeah, we do. We need that kind of boldness. We don't need to be afraid to share what we believe or to live out what we believe, and they're certainly setting a great example.
So, do you know where the 2023 convention will be yet?
Yeah, the 2023 is going to be in Orlando, Florida. It's going to be at the Marriott World Center. It's the last week of May, so it's a little later this year. I think it's the 22nd it starts on. And so it's the last week of May in 2023. We're starting to plan that. Matter of fact, we have a first big planning session tomorrow morning that we'll be talking about that.
So as your role being president of NRB Convention and the association together, What is your hopes for young broadcasters of today?
I think the biggest hope is like you're doing here, that they get involved and get engaged. We help broadcasters. It's really funny. For a number of years, we had traditional, and then digital came along. The traditional guys were trying to figure out how to get to digital. Now we have a lot of digital folks that are trying to figure out how to get to traditional. So podcasters that started off maybe like you did or have, they've built up their audiences. They've reached as much as they can digital, and now they're moving those into radio programs and television programs. And so it's to continue to help people like that. I always say that NRB's job is to be there to advocate on behalf of all of our members to do the ministry that God has called them to do. And that's what we really want. That's my vision for NRB.
So you've had many special guest speakers over the years. Who would be one that really stands out the most to you?
I'll tell you, in 2020, Attorney General William Barr came and spoke. And he did a fabulous job. That's out there. You can search for that speech that he gave at NRB, and it was incredible. He talked about the importance of NRB. He talked about the importance of Christians being involved. He talked about the importance of religion and Christianity in our society. He's in the most recent, he's one that's really stood out for me.
Wow. And who was your speakers this year?
So we had a number, and Michael Youssef started off on our opening night, and A.R. Bernard, and both of those were just fabulous. They really spoke into the culture of what was going on today, and really getting the church, challenging the church to get involved. Pastor Robert Jeffress from First Baptist Dallas did our worship session, and he was just incredible as well. And then we just had throughout the week, we had a number of panels that addressed everything from religious liberty to what's going on with the cancel culture to big tech industry to we had a group, just a great group, Newsmax and the Washington Times CEOs, as well as Dennis Prager from Salem and Prager U and Eric Metaxas and a bunch of folks talking about, why is it important to have solid journalism today and truth in the news. And so we covered just a whole gamut, and that was just our forums. Then we had a whole set of talk sessions. We have this NRB talk stage that covered all kinds of topics, everything from transhumanism to all the AI, artificial intelligence changes that are going on. Again, technology is driving so much in our culture today. We just had a ton of content around that.
Wow, that's amazing. So how can folks find out more about NRB?
So you can go to nrb.org. So it's real simple. That's our association's website, and that tells you about that. Or nrbconvention.org, and that tells you about the conference, and you can look at the things that are going there. And we're hoping to have a lot of our sessions from the conference will be up on the web soon, and people can tune in and see those.
Well, thank you so much, Troy, for coming on. God bless you. I appreciate you, and we'll get you on again sometime.
Andrew, thank you, and thanks for all you're doing, and God bless you as well.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.